Thanks for joining us today. I'm Katie Hacker, and with us is Nealay Patel, who will show us how to make a great pair of earrings to light up any occasion. Welcome, Nealay.
Thank you so much for having me, Katie.
Happy to have you here.
I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, well, these are some beautiful earrings that you're going to show us how to make, too.
Thank you. Yes, I'm using knitted wire to make these, and a very special stitching technique to make a quick pair of chandelier earrings for any occasion.
All right, and the colors are gorgeous.
Thank you.
I like the palette you chose.
I love bright colors, and so I'm really thrilled to be using some lovely beads to brighten up any occasion. So.
Yeah, you could mix different metallics, you could use jewel tones. Well, let's talk a little bit about our materials.
Absolutely. So I'm going to start off by showing you how to create the structure of the earring, but I want to draw attention to the knitted wire first. This is wonderful because it's great for beginner bead weavers to really be able to pick up and start to do work with it.
You can kind of use it as a filigree and weave through the
outer
surface of it.
The needle can just go through any hole really to make whatever you'd like, fringe or specific bead weaving at all. So pretty excited about that. And I'm using beading wire to actually create the structure as well.
Okay.
So we're going to start with actually putting the knit. This is hollow knit wire. There's different kinds, but for this particular project, I like to use the hollow. And I just simply strung it through. This is about 3 inches of the hollow knit and then roughly 5 inches of beading wire. But the great thing is, with this particular technique and design, is that you can kind of customize if you like larger chandelier earrings or shorter ones. You can really just cut to whatever size you want.
Well, and if you were going to build a really big structure, you could have a longer piece of the knitted tube.
Absolutely. Or even the beading wire as well.
Right.
I'm going to actually string on a clamshell for
Now
this.
that's something we haven't seen for a while. So clamshells are kind of a traditional with knotting. So it's interesting to use it with crimps too.
Yeah, and for earrings, you want really something lightweight for your furnishings and the findings. And so I like using the clamshells because it really does clean up the crimp area and hides it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And does it matter really what size beading wire that you're using?
I like to go with the medium size. It goes through the holes pretty good, and the structure remains pretty well too.
Okay. Then you have a
yeah,
crimp
and
tube
I'm
there.
actually going to put my crimp tube on, and so once I get it strung on,
Great.
there we go. All right, so my crimp tube is on and my clamshell is just underneath it, and so what I'm going to do is actually use my bent nose pliers. And I'm just going to actually flatten that crimp, just like that.
Okay.
And then I'm going to actually bring up my clamshell and close it with my pliers. And you see how easy that really just cleans it up. And your earring structure is practically done. And then putting, of course, your ear wire, whatever it may be. It may be a post. Perhaps you like posts better than ear wires.
Yeah, or you could use a chandelier findings and have multiples.
Yeah, definitely.
That would be cool too.
That would be really cool. So we have our earring structure finished, and so what I'm going to show you is the weaving part of it.
Okay.
And here I'm using a few different types of beads. We've got our 8/0 seed beads, we have 11/0 seed beads, and 15/0s because I adore using small, tiny, delicate seed beads.
Well, they can be tricky to see sometimes.
Yeah, they can. Magnifying glasses help, certainly. And then magatamas. They're really unique shaped angular beads.
Yeah, the long magatama is fun.
Yeah.
Creates a lot of swing on your earring, too.
Yeah, definitely. And it's all about texture. Big texture for big findings and furnishings. So here I'm actually going to, I went ahead and threaded my needle and I placed a bead stopper at the end. And I want to leave about roughly 5 to 6 inches of extra tail.
Okay.
And I'm going to pick up my earring structure and actually come down. Now, I want to talk about the knitted wire for a second because when we're talking knitted wire, we think that the ends could fray. And the great thing is, whenever you cut it, it actually doesn't. It remains, so you can really cut to whatever length you want, and it's not going to fray.
So it's really just like cutting a piece of chain.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to pick up an 8/0 once I've sewn down through that last part of it, and then an 11/0, and then a 15/0, another 15/0, 2 of them, and then a magatama, and then 2 more 15/0s, and then a 11-0.
All right.
So I just push that down to the end of my thread, and then I'm actually going to go up through the 8-0 and through the knitted wire. Remember we had talked about how it works like filigree? You could just really stitch up through any hole.
Yeah. So it's really about creating your fringe there on the edge.
Yes, definitely. And because it is a hollow knit cord, we can actually stitch the top part too.
Very good.
So I'm going to do a baby fringe at the top. And so I'm going to do an 8-0, an 11-0, a 15-0, slide that down over my thread,
Okay.
and then I'm actually going to go through the 11 and the 8. And instead of going straight down, I'm actually going to go at an angle, Katie, because that will put my next stitch right beside my previous fringe.
Yeah, so now it looks like your knitted tube is shifting around on the earring, and that's okay, right?
Yes, because I can go back and adjust it later, so it'll be centered.
Okay, so then it doesn't really require an anchor there at the center.
No, not at all. You can continue to just stitch as you previously were doing, and you'd simply just go all the way towards the end. Here I'll do another quick fringe, picking
Okay.
up an 11-0, 2 15-0s, a magatama, 2 15-0s, and then another 11-0.
All right. So is it the pattern is repeating the same fringe again and again across the
Absolutely.
length of the tube?
I know you're thinking that it's pretty tricky trying to fill up the earring that way, but yeah, it does not get any more difficult than this. I promise.
Well, it looks great.
Thank you.
And then you can make your magatamas directional too.
Yes, absolutely, or have them different ways. It's really all about versatility and the learning part of it, and whatever suits your style.
Sure. There are so many different things that you can do.
Oh my goodness, the fringe especially, you can really customize it once you learn this technique into doing your own style.
It's definitely a piece that you could make tonight and wear tomorrow too.
Yeah, or even just in the evening. These whip up pretty quickly. So again, Katie, I'm going in at an angle whenever I make my top picot. And then I'll simply pull and tighten.
So to add the next stitch.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so here we go. We're going to do an 8-0, an 11-0, 2 15-0s, a magatama. And really, on your bead board, you can lay out the seed beads in order, so you don't really have to pay too much attention to, your pattern.
Sure, you could have all your fringes laid out ahead of time.
Yes, absolutely.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, definitely. It helps the process go a little bit faster, too.
So you're using thread to attach these, but you could also be stitching through with beading wire. You could stitch through with monofilament.
Yes, absolutely. I like the beading wire because by nature I'm a seed bead weaver. But, that definitely hasn't stopped me from using different materials before.
Sure. And the knitted tube also comes in different colors.
Oh my goodness, the line is astonishing. Different colors, different types. There's a flat knitted wire that I'm really excited about. Great for stitch work. Again, for beginner beaders, it's perfect. And then a leather knitted cord, which I really love as well.
Oh, that's neat too. So there are a lot of different things that you can build off of it.
Yes, yeah. One technique, once you learn it, and you can really start to become versatile in what you use and how you use it. Here we'll just do another quick stitch. 2 11-0s and magatama. And 2 15-0s, an 8-0, and oh, I guess I don't need an 8-0 because I already strung one on. Yeah, and then you just go back. And I really love repetition. I don't know about you, but it's quite meditating.
It is, yeah.
And you get into this groove and...
Definitely. And the weight that you're creating too with the beads, it's going to help hold that section in the center of the earring as well when you're finished.
Yeah, definitely. It makes for a very stylish and exaggerated loop, I like to say, especially with that length of beading.
This would make a great pendant too.
Oh, yes, definitely. Or a necklace. Could you imagine with all these different hanging pendants on the necklace? I think that'd be so much fun.
That would look great.
I do want to say, though, whenever, I'm going to bring this example out, whenever we're securing our threads,
Okay.
when you get to the end, what I've done is I just looped my thread within this tubing itself, brought it back up front to meet my other tail end thread, and then I just tie a knot and then stitch it back into the tube.
Oh, okay, so it's hidden inside there.
It's definitely hidden inside there, so you can keep all your little thread secrets in there.
There you go. It's a good idea.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, let's talk a little bit about these fringe earrings too, because
Yeah.
this is kind of the same technique where you're building off of the knitted tube to create the
Absolutely.
fringe structure.
And something that I wasn't particularly interested in and that I am now is crafting with the half hard wire and really shaping it. And so the knitted tube for hollow knitted tube was perfect for being able to design around it and just string it through the wire and stitch over it. And so I used a little bit of a different fringe. It doesn't have the inside picot, but the top stitching is similar. So it is building off that technique.
Yeah, all right. Well, it looks really pretty. And I like your color palette choice there too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Went a little green on that one.
You have an eye for color.
Oh, thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about the green bracelet.
Yeah, this one uses the knitted leather in with it, and so I've stitched around it because, well, we can't really pass a needle up through leather. I'd have probably some bleeding fingers.
Yeah.
So I beaded around it, and I used those lovely magatama beads, and stitched it together, and some fun beads at the end to give it that bling and pop.
Definitely. I like the way that you made the beaded structure around the front, because that is a really different look too.
Thank you.
Build off of it rather than to build through it, like you said.
Yeah, definitely. It was. It's another quick stitch, which I'm excited about too, and to have the focal in the front, it does give it a really different look.
Yeah, it has a lot of great texture.
Yeah, definitely, and that's thanks to the magatama beads to really be able to pop out and bring out those different levels of beading. So
yeah, and now on the bracelet in the middle there, it looks like you are using some flat knitted wire.
yeah, that one's using the flat knitted wire, and I wove it through the tile beads again for a different look, and then stitched in some daggers and some drops to really give it some texture.
Yeah, you sure have a lot of different textures going on with the different beads there.
Yeah, I go crazy with texture.
I think it looks great.
Thank you.
Yeah. And the ends are finished in kind of a different way too.
Yeah, I secured the ends with a flat crimp, and then I've attached a 3-prong slide clasp. And I say that because I wanted the spacing in between to put some little bead bubbles in.
Yeah.
Just to give it, again, a different look and different texture and appeal.
Well, these are great for beginners because you can stitch right through the wire.
Absolutely.
Instead of having to build the whole structure from scratch. It's
And
kind
it
of a little
saves
jump
time,
start.
which is I like instant gratification. And so to be able to bead just, a simple fringe, but still have the body of work.
Yeah, and it looks great too.
Definitely. And that chunky's in, so.
That's it.
Yep, that's definitely goes that way.
And then the silver piece that you have there, it looks like you built another wire structure in the middle.
Yeah, I, again, with the half-hard wire, sculpted it and created components that stitched together. And so I was able to incorporate some wire and some, hardware to it, while still adding the soft bead weaving in with it as well. So.
Yeah, that looks
And of course, the glamour of the crystals.
You can't go wrong with the crystals,
No,
can you?
definitely not. I love the sparkle.
And I like the way that you mixed it with the matte finish too, because the matte and shiny together, it creates a really great look.
Yeah, it's, again, textures. So that's really what helps the design with the knitted wire, with the bead weaving as well. So.
Right. It makes a lot of sense, and I think it's a great idea. And what about this necklace? Tell us how that went together.
Yes, I'm using knitted wire. Well, it's called a capture, so it's got a beaded chain within the knitted wire.
Yeah, so you have it separated there in the middle, and you stitched right through it.
Yeah, with the beading wire, and I like textures, as we've discussed already, with the hard pyrite beads and then the soft bead woven beaded beads.
Yeah, that looks great, and it really creates a really great fringe too.
Yes,
with all the different.
Lots of movement.
So
when
movement,
you
yeah.
just shrug your shoulders a little bit, whatever, it's gonna move around with you.
That sounds good. Yeah. And yeah, I like the idea of using it as a structure too. So you're really building off of that main base.
Definitely, the capture part of it really helps to keep the structure of the actual knitted wire. So it's great for security. You can really throw it in your bag. I mean, I had to travel with these pieces here to the studio, and so I threw it in the bag, and it came out great from it. So definitely.
So they can stand up.
They can withstand
heavy travel.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about the red and green necklace too.
Yes, that one's also using a capture again for the structure, and I wanted to create something that had a lariat-esque feel, but a little bit different. So I had this fringe coming off of it, and used these fun little terminators here on the edge to clean it up, and made some beaded flowers.
Yes, I
with
love
some
beaded
crystals,
flowers too.
so can't go wrong with those.
No, and it looks like I can see from my angle that it looks like you attach those with jump rings, and that wouldn't have been what I would expect. So, but because you're using that round structure to build off of, the jump rings are perfect for attachments.
Yes, and filigree comes into the, I guess that seems to be the word of the day, or at least these projects. And so I'm able to slip in any piece of wire or jump ring through the knitted
Right through the
hollows
tube.
parts, yeah.
Great.
And yeah, it's great.
And I like the idea of using those cordons, like you mentioned, as kind of a finishing touch at the front.
Yes.
You know, we don't often see lariats that have just a very simple closure at the front.
Exactly, and even though the knitted wire doesn't fray, you still have those weird ends, and so this really cleans it up.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, let's take a look at a necklace on the other side here, too.
Yes, this one here, it's also using the capture. Now this one's a little bit different. It has the AB, so Aurora Borealis touch into the wire, and it's because it's knitted over the capture, and then that capture is then knitted over with the silver wire, so you get this really layered effect. And so I've stitched that with these fun little drop beads, and to create those loops and everything.
Yeah, and now that's a necklace we're going to be seeing again later on the program, because you're going to come back and show us how to make that, right?
Absolutely.
So we're going to hold you to that.
I definitely will come back and do that for you,
Okay,
Katie.
good. And it looks like there's some more fringe going on there, too.
Yes, I went fringe crazy with this particular line.
It's that time of year. And, you know, the golden necklace, too, that you made, that is a gorgeous piece. There's a lot going on there.
Oh, yeah, lots of shiny parts, isn't there?
Yes.
This one is a little bit different. I actually use beading wire incorporated in with some stitching, again, to create body, and use crystals everywhere because I love crystals. I can't escape them.
No, and why would you want to?
I know, why would I want to?
They look great. And
Thank you.
It looks like you have a lot of different techniques bringing it all together there.
Yeah, lots of beaded eye pins, simple loops, some bead weaving, of course, because that's my thing. And yeah, some stringing, so.
And architecture ties these together too with a lot of structure.
Yes,
I can definitely tell
I'm very
you're inspired
heavy
by
on
architecture.
geometric design, so.